Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn, and this is one of my favorite parts of the show when we get to spend some time with our friend Robert Clancy, the author of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Soul. And today we're going to talk about overcoming challenges. Tell us about that, Robert.
Sure. I've heard from so many people that they're dealing with some type of challenge in life, and in fact, we all are. So today's inspirational thought is, as humans, we're all flawed, but isn't that true for most diamonds until they're shaped with kindness and polished with loving care? So it's part of life, when you deal with these challenges, and I always realize you need to grow and become stronger from these. And isn't it time for you to shine like the true diamond you are?
Oh, that's beautiful. And you're right. We all have challenges. And part of what you preach, if you will, is to volunteer and to help others, because that, in effect, comes back to you and helps you.
Right, and that's where the polish comes in. And then if you're dealing with an issue, that's where the pressure. But, diamonds are created under pressure. So it's time to shine.
You're brilliant. Thank you, Robert. More information about Robert, you can find him at latenighthealth.com, latenighthealth.com. Check under our contributors and also under our guests. Robert, thank you. We will talk to you again next week.
Sure.
Late Night Health continues as we take a look at the 20th annual L.A. County Race for the Cure, the Susan G. Komen Los Angeles County Race for the Cure, and we're going to spend some time with Mark Osmers. Mark is actually not a healthcare guy. He's just he's a businessman, and he works for AutoNation. I thought I'd give you a plug there, Mark.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Tell me about your personal involvement in this insidious disease, cancer.
Well, as you know, cancer is one of the diseases that afflicts probably more people in the United States and certainly in Los Angeles than just about anything else. So I, like many people, know of people that either have gone through it and received treatment or gone through it and not come out as well. Personally, this organization is one that I feel like does a great job in not only raising awareness, but also providing services and reaching people of need in the Los Angeles area.
And we should mention that breast cancer affects primarily women, but it also affects men.
It does, and it's funny. Prior to becoming involved in the organization at this level, I've been participating in the Race for the Cure each March for years and years. But now, after looking at the organization and understanding more of what it's about, you're absolutely right. It not only does it affect women that we would think of, people that are perhaps over 40 or even beyond that, it also affects women that are in their early 30s and sometimes even in their 20s.
Yeah, we actually a couple of months ago we interviewed a journalist whose family history and genetic makeup, and she decided to have a double mastectomy to avoid breast cancer. And it was a fascinating story to avoid the complications, because the chemo, radiation, and the et cetera is debilitating. It's almost worse than the disease, if you will. What has been your personal experience in terms of family members have been affected, Mark?
Well, in my personal family, I lost my father when I was in my early 20s. So although it wasn't breast cancer, it was a cancer-related disease, and I have two sisters that are younger than I am, and both of them weren't even out of high school. So you can imagine, what it does to a family when they go through this thing, not only to see somebody that's going through a cancer-related disease, but then to eventually lose them because they lost the fight. So I've always really had a special place in my heart, not only for cancer-related causes, but particularly with the Komen organization because of what they do to serve, especially in Los Angeles, the underserved communities. And I think sometimes when we think of Komen, we have a person that we know or a picture of somebody in mind that is that person that we serve. But in Los Angeles, you have to consider, it's one of the most diverse, if not the most diverse communities in the United States. So the people that the Komen organization in Los Angeles serve represent the communities in South Los Angeles, Southeast Los Angeles, people of color, Hispanics, African Americans, and everybody else in between. It's cancer, as you know, doesn't really care about ethnic background or age or anything else,
or money,
or money. The difference is, even people sometimes that have health care, but don't know what their options are and don't know about screening, and just because of the education part of the disease on when they should have screenings and what's available to them.
One of the biggest things that the Susan G. Komen group does is not only treatment, but I think even more important to me, at least, is doing testing. Can you explain that to us?
Testing is one of the most critical things, and what people don't understand, or certainly it's not as well understood, is just because somebody has medical coverage doesn't mean that everything is going to be covered. And I've also heard of people that have medical coverage and they go in for their testing and find something that's suspect, and then they're moved into a different classification. They can no longer, sometimes their insurance doesn't even cover regular screening after they identify something that could be an area of issue, and they're put into a different group, which raises up the cost for them. So what we try to do as an organization is educate, provide services, and of course, to do that, we have to participate in fundraising like the 20th annual. I didn't know if you knew that, but the 20th annual Race for the Cure that's on Saturday, March 12th. It's the Komen Los Angeles largest fundraising effort of the year. And last year, for example, we had a record. We had around 12,000 people with 300 plus survivors participating in the event.
One of my sisters has been active in that for years, at least 10 years, and she's a marshal or she does something. I'm not exactly sure what she does, but she's been very active in the Race for the Cure as well. The fact is that according to my statistics, more than 4,000 women in California will die, and that's 1 in 8 women. That's a phenomenal amount of people. And then some men. I mean, the statistics on men are much lower, and I think they're harder to find. And yet we'll also have 23,000 new cases diagnosed within the Los Angeles area. And while we're talking about L.A., there are Race for the Cures going on throughout the country. There's one in San Diego coming up, and I know throughout the country as well. What is the purpose of the Race for the Cure?
Well, I'll tell you what, beyond fundraising, which is certainly important to help us be able to provide the services, the testing, and everything else, it's creating awarenesses. I mean, here I am on a show with you today talking about it, and somebody might listen and just catch one fact that they didn't know about it, that they tell somebody else, that could change somebody's life. We also promote the event through local media, of course on the Komen Los Angeles website, and throughout our members. So, of course, you mentioned that I work for AutoNation. AutoNation itself has really joined forces with Komen LA, and I think last year we had close to 1,000 people just from our company that signed up either to walk in the race or support people that walked in the race in their fundraising efforts.
And you can you can tell those people because they're driving pink cars, right?
Yes, either a pink car or something with pink on it for sure. Yeah, our company has a thing we do called Drive Pink, and you may have seen some of the license plate frames around town. I know I have I have one on the back of my view that sticks out quite a bit with the bright pink color that says Drive Pink on it.
I just wear the pink. I think that's because I don't drive a BMW. I just wear pink that week. I think it's a good thing to do. I think that yes, the fundraising part is good, but I think even more importantly is the awareness, because some people, especially those who don't have access to health education or treatment, this is something that brings the awareness to these people so that they can do something about it. They can be tested. They can have treatment. Would you agree with that?
No, I think that most people across the United States probably know about the Komen organization, and they probably have an idea of some of the things they do to support local communities. But I think about the education component, and to me, that's probably the easiest step towards preventing any type of cancer, breast cancer or other types of cancer, is understanding how important it is to have regular checkups. When do you start it? And having a grassroots organization where we meet with folks out in the local communities throughout Los Angeles and educating them about this is critical as anything else that we do. You think about what the result from that could be. I mean, literally somebody could find out that they didn't think they needed to do it until 40, and they have a history in their family and they could be at risk, and they go in and discover something and end up being able to treat it early, and then they become one of these, a survivor. And to me, if that's all that happens, that would be great in itself.
Absolutely. Last year they had a bra exhibit that went from mall to mall, and I was fascinated because women who lived through breast cancer donated these amazing bras of all shapes, sizes, and it was really something to see. I don't know if that's going on this year, but I do remember seeing it last year at several malls. All right, Mark is our guest. He is. You're a board member of the local association too, aren't you?
Yes, I joined Komen Los Angeles recently.
And we will continue that story when we come back, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. We are Late Night Health. We'll be back in just a couple moments.
You're listening to Late Night Health with Mark Alyn. The show continues in a moment.